He was drifting unconscious in a whirlwind, making large circles in the void. He was frightened by the view which he was in. Time to time, he saw instances belonging to his past. His mom, his bike, his first woman. He shouted and waved at them. They were not even aware of him, though. Meanwhile, on a beach afar, Claudia was enjoying the sun when Richard showed up. He opened the cap of the cream and began spreading it on her back, dried and pink. She let out a sound of relief. Oh, thanks, honey. It really feels good. Richard, I like the way you look when you're enjoying something, followed a quick kiss on her lips. Claudia stopped kissing and looked at the boy sleeping face down on the chase lounge next to hers. She said, how innocent he is, right? Richard, yeah. Claudia, who says he'll turn 7 next month? The boy has turned around and rubbed his eyes. Richard asked, do you want to swim? Yeah, said Timmy. Richard stood up and bent down to lift him up. They were heading for the ocean through the curious looks by those enjoying the sun on the beach. Timmy could not walk after a car crash when he was only 19 months old. Claudia felt guilty since then because she was driving the car which Timmy was in. The other one was the day when he met Eduardo. Timmy was on good terms with Richard, even though he was not his own father. Richard met Claudia in a food market where she used to work as a cashier in Miami. Richard took Timmy out of the sea and helped him sit on his chase lounge. Richard turned around and asked on his way back to sea, are you sure you want to stay here? Timmy nodded. Yeah. Just then, Timmy popped the question that cropped up in his mind. Tell me, who is that? He was so poor that he used the socks or grapefruits to play soccer. In Football World Cup 1958, he became the youngest ever World Cup winner in Sweden at 17, scoring 2 goals in the final. Who's that? Maradona, Richard replied without hesitation. Timmy, ring, wrong. That's Pele. Timmy loved soccer games. He never kicked a ball in his life, but he was so into it he read whatever he found about soccer. In the meantime, in a large room cold and painted in white, filled the room a burst of cold air. It was kind of a large refrigeration unit installed all along the wall. This room was nowhere else than a morgue. Through the cold glare of air, a stretcher was sliding out of one of those refrigerator doors. Weirder than all was that there was nobody in the room. When the stretcher was fully out of the refrigerator, it became easier to see the corpse lying there. Yes, the dead body was that of Eduardo. Eduardo opened his eyes and looked around. Surely was he in a shock and trying to figure out how he ended up in here. Far back in the room was heard a shrill sound and a flash lit up the room. A bright circle of light was floating in the air. Not long before a voice resounded all over the room. Hello, Eduardo. Feeling okay? Eduardo. Who's that? Michael? The voice. No, this time it's me. You can call me a friend. Eduardo. Who are you? What happened to Michael? And furthermore, why am I here? The voice. Eduardo. I'm also here in the name of the Creator. To tell the truth, when a person had his heart stop beating, it's Michael's team who showed up next to that person to facilitate the last journey. However, I'm rarely charged to welcome passed away persons like you. During a person's meeting with Michael, the spirit detaches itself from the body and taken to the temporary concentration center. In your terms, that person dies. Eduardo. If I'm dead now, am I not supposed to be seeing Michael now? The voice. I don't remember how long I've been doing this job, but I must confess that your humans have the most idiotic scientific knowledge level. When you see a person whose heart just stopped beating, you call that person as dead. You're not even aware that that person is still alive. The human body is not a math, and you cannot say the body gets dead even if the heart stops. Life is so sophisticated, and its elements are beyond simple mathematical deductions. Human lives and bodies are no exempt from this fact. Eduardo was confused. He asked, okay, can you tell me what I am now? Please let me know in idiotic humanly terms. The voices laughed and continued, listen, the most crucial part of the human body is not the brain or the heart, but the spirit inside. Because that spirit testifies to God's eternal power. Anyway, putting shortly, you are not dead yet. And this time you did not see Michael, but me. He Because there are things Michael cannot advise, such as the meaning of life, love, and empathy. This is my job, and that's why you will listen to me with the last part of your story. Eduardo, what'll I call you? The voice. I told you, just friend. The voice continued. I know you had a dream when you were in the refrigerator. You were in a whirlwind. Then, you saw your son and your ex on the beach. They were living on a typical day after you died. No need to say they looked happy. That's something you never let them have when you were together with them. Eduardo. Yes, I know. How many times more will you and Michael remind me of that? The voice. Good. Seems that you started seeing the picture then. Eduardo. I feel so worthless and good for nothing. The voice. Do you remember how you split up with your ex-wife? Eduardo. Actually, I left home saying I did not love her anymore. The voice. And you left her with a baby. Eduardo. Look, I'm so regretful about my past and mistakes I've made. The voice. She adored you, and you never wondered how they were doing. Eduardo. It's too late, but I really do now. The voice. So, let me quench your thirst for the truth. You were cheating on her. You were not even careful with what you were doing, and you dumped her. Actually, she knew you were cheating for a long time, but she was hoping you would come back to her. After you left, she quickly packed up, and she placed the baby on her baby seat in the back. Then they went to the airport. They did not have much money, but it was enough for the ticket. However, she was so mad at you that she was not aware of what she was doing. She was driving over the speed limit. At the crash, the back door of the car squeezed the baby's feet. That was the reason why he could not walk now. Eduardo closed his eyes, but he could not stop the tears accumulated at his edge from trickling down. Then he opened his eye with solid resolve and said, I want to speak to God. Now. The voice. What? Eduardo replied, I want to speak to him. The voice. Who do you think you are speaking to since all this started? Do you think I or Michael might give decisions about your life? No. We are relaying the holy message in replies to your questions. Now it's time to go back to that day when the crash happened, so you can stop this tragedy. Eduardo interrupted. I changed my mind. I will go back to that day and stop it, but I have a request now. The voice. What do you mean? Eduardo. I want to die. I don't want to go back to life again. The voice. Eduardo, go back and live it. Let's talk about it after. Eduardo woke up and smiled to the morning, showing him his wife and baby son. He realized how much he loved being a part of a family. He turned to Claudia and hugged her that she woke up too. Claudia opened her eyes and found Eduardo kissing her all around. Claudia smiled and said, Hey, what happened? We had a fight last night, remember? But I forgive you, big baby. Eduardo did not remember why they had a fight. He apologized and put a long kiss on her lips. Eduardo raised his head and said, Today, I don't want to go to work. All I want is to stay here and watch you, baby. Eduardo ran to the baby's room and smelled the sweet scent of the baby. He lifted him up and pressed him gently against his chest. Oh my God, please forgive me and let me back to my family. The voice was already there and responded, Eduardo, this was all we intended. We just wanted you to see the treasure you had, which you did not see and neglected. Regarding a request to die, I see that you changed your mind again. Eduardo, oh yes, please let me stay with my family. The voice, I don't know. Maybe we should watch you for a while. You decide you changed and stop ruining others' lives? We can do that. Eduardo, oh, thank you. The voice, one more thing. Have you ever wondered how your plane crashed? Eduardo, no, I'm sure I should have done something wrong.